Rory couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. His body had been behaving strangely for weeks. Nausea, fatigue, and a sudden aversion to the smell of coffee, his favorite drink. But today, standing in his doctor's office, staring at the test results in disbelief, the truth hit him like a train. He was pregnant.
How is this even possible?
Rory's voice trembled as he sat across from his doctor, who looked equally perplexed, albeit more composed. Dr. Sullivan pushed his glasses up his nose, the papers in front of him untouched as he folded his hands together.
It's extremely rare, unheard of, in fact. But Rory, the tests are conclusive. You're carrying a child.
Rory ran a hand through his tousled brown hair, his mind spinning. He glanced down at his flat stomach, now feeling an odd connection to the tiny life growing inside of him. This can't be real. He hadn't even thought of this as a possibility. After all, he was a man. How could he be pregnant?
I need to go home. I need to talk to Lucas.
His legs felt like jelly, but he somehow made his way to the door. Lucas was in the kitchen when Rory arrived home, humming to himself as he stirred a pot of sauce. The rich aroma of garlic and tomatoes filled the small apartment, a comfort on most days, but not today. Rory stood in the doorway, heart pounding. He knew he had to tell Lucas, but how? They'd been together for 3 years, and while their relationship was strong, this news would be like dropping a bombshell.
Hey babe, dinner's almost ready. How was the doctor?
Rory didn't respond immediately. He walked in slowly, feeling as though he were in a dream. His voice caught in his throat.
Lucas, there's something we need to talk about.
Lucas turned to face him, concern flashing in his green eyes as he wiped his hands on a towel and moved toward Rory.
What is it? You're scaring me.
Rory took a deep breath, reaching into his pocket and pulling out the ultrasound photo Dr. Sullivan had given him. He handed it to Lucas, watching as confusion crossed his partner's face. Lucas squinted at the image.
What am I looking at? Is this...
His voice trailed off as the realization hit him. Rory nodded, feeling tears well up in his eyes.
I'm pregnant, Lucas.
There was a long, stunned silence. Lucas stared at the ultrasound, then back at Rory, searching his face for any sign that this was some sort of cruel joke. But Rory's tear-filled eyes told him it was the truth.
How?
Lucas whispered, stepping forward and gently cupping Rory's face in his hands.
I don't know, but it's happening. I'm scared, Lucas. I don't know what to do.
Lucas's arms wrapped tightly around Rory, pulling him into a warm, protective embrace.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure this out together. You're not alone in this.
Rory clung to Lucas, his fear slowly melting away in the comfort of his partner's arms. In that moment, the impossible felt just a little less terrifying. As the weeks passed, Rory's belly began to grow, a constant reminder of the miracle they were experiencing. It was still strange, even for Rory, to see his reflection in the mirror and watch his body change in ways he'd never imagined. But with Lucas by his side, every day felt a little easier. Lucas became increasingly protective as Rory's pregnancy progressed. He doted on him, cooking healthy meals, researching everything about pregnancy, and making sure Rory was as comfortable as possible. But more than that, Lucas embraced the reality with excitement and love. One night, as they lay in bed, Lucas placed his hand on Rory's swollen stomach, feeling the faint movements of the baby beneath his palm.
Do you think it's a boy or a girl?
Lucas asked quietly, his voice filled with wonder.
I don't know. Part of me doesn't care. I just want them to be healthy. That's all I could ever ask for.
Lucas leaned over and kissed Rory gently on the forehead.
I know this hasn't been easy for you, but I want you to know that I'm so proud of you. You're amazing, Rory. You're carrying our baby, and it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Rory's heart swelled with emotion.
You don't think it's strange?
Lucas chuckled softly.
A little, sure, but it's our strange, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
Months later, Rory sat in a hospital bed, exhausted but happy, cradling a tiny bundle in his arms. The baby, a healthy little boy, had arrived earlier that morning, and both fathers were overwhelmed with joy. Lucas sat beside Rory, tears in his eyes as he gently stroked their son's soft cheek.
He's perfect, just like you.
Rory smiled down at the baby, his heart full. Despite all the fear and uncertainty that had come with this pregnancy, looking at his son now, he knew it had all been worth it.
We're a family now,
Rory said softly, leaning his head against Lucas's shoulder. Lucas kissed the top of Rory's head, his arm around him and their new son.
Yeah, we are.
And as they sat together, holding their newborn, the impossible no longer seemed so strange. It felt like the most natural thing in the world.